So, do you remember when you were a kid? Well, fair, fair. Yeah, take a second. Do you remember when you were a kid and you got to that place where you felt like you had a pretty good handle on things? You felt like maybe you were a bit ready for something. Remember that time? And the adults in your life, your parents, maybe your ministers, maybe your teachers, people like that, they all gather around. You remember this? It happened to everybody. Remember this? You got all gathered around, and they said, okay, you're ready. And now we are going to give unto you the book that has all the answers in it. We've been keeping it back from you because you weren't ready, but now you're ready. We're going to tell you how everything works because we've got all the answers. All adults have all the answers, and now you're going to be an adult. We're going to give you... Remember that? No, right? Wasn't just me. And I say that because I don't know about you, but I went through that time when I was a kid where I thought for sure everybody else knew everything. And at some point, I was going to be told, I was going to get the instruction manual for life, I was going to get all the answers, and I was going to be told or shown or whatever what it was all about. I was going to get the manual. And when I think back at my early, I hate to call it a career, but let's go with that, as a minister, I think a lot of it was me being driven by the fact that I didn't get the manual, so maybe I was going to write the manual. Because, fake it till you make it, right? I think a lot of what I did early on had to do with, okay, well, I'm going to tell you what I think, and maybe we'll get there together, and maybe nobody knows that I don't know. Fake it till you make it. Except it never really clicked. I never had that moment where I thought, okay, this is it. This is what it's all about. And I went through so much time trying to find the answers to these questions, trying to go, what does this mean? What is it all about? Trying so hard to cram the bigness of the universe in between my ears, and that hurts. And it doesn't work. Because here's what I came up with after a very long journey, my friends. Asking what the point of it is not something that happy people do. If you go, what's the point of my life? This is not the beginning of a happy conversation. Imagine you're in a committed relationship and you come home and that other person says, sit down. What's the point of our relationship? You might as well start packing. What's the point? What's it all about? These are not questions that happy people tend to ask. And because I spent so much time asking those questions, I realize now that I was bumming myself out and everybody else too. It made me less effective as a minister, but more importantly, as a person. And that was a really big switch for me. Because up until that point, I really thought that smart people were the ones who asked these questions. It's a little smug, if I'm honest. I was a little snobby about it. I thought, well, if you're not asking these questions of what it's all about, then what are you doing? You're wasting everybody's time. Come on, be a real person. Ask these questions. A little bit snobby about it, frankly. I needed to know what it was about. And over time, learning sometimes the easy way, but most of the time the hard way, I begin to realize that these are great questions, but those answers are not the answers to everything. What's a sunset about? What's love about? What are you about? I think in my desire to have it be about something, I was leaving all of the good stuff out of the equation. I was missing so many things. And that's a big deal. Because if we are here in this journey to figure out, well, who am I? Why am I here? These are the questions that everybody asks in one way or another. I don't want you to feel like I'm telling you can't ask those questions. Together, today, buckle in, we're going to talk about how you can arrive at a sense of, oh, this is why I'm here. But it's going to come from a different place. It's going to involve some different tools. Are you with me? This is what we're working on today. Now, I know that for some people who, like me, have read an awful lot of books and stuff like that, it seems like, well, this is a no-brainer. You want to know what you're all about? Well, we believe That what you think about, you get in your life. Thoughts held in mind reproduce after their kind and all of that kind of stuff. We've heard that before. We talk about it all the time, right? It's kind of the thing. And so to somebody like that, and once again, I get that profoundly. To somebody like that, it's like, well, it's not complicated to think who you are. All you got to do is look at your life. Look at the kind of stuff that you're chewing on. That'll tell you who you are. I guess. I've even heard this one. Maybe you've heard this too. We attract what we are. Have you heard that before? I've seen it on a t-shirt. And it sounds okay, right? It sounds okay. It smells like sage. You know what I mean? We attract what we are. And with all due respect, because I know that people who say that mean well, and I don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, and frankly, with all due respect to the t-shirt industry, I'm not sure I can go all the way with that. If you're the kind of person who writes stuff down, I would love it if you'd write this down. We don't attract what we are. We attract where we're at. We don't attract what we are. We attract where we're at. And that is a profoundly different thing. And here's why that's important. You ever had a friend call you? Maybe you haven't talked to them in a while, and so you want to catch up with them. How's it going? What you been up to? What's going on? And they say, everything is awful. It's broken. The whole thing is broken. My love life is in a shambles. I got laid off. The thing's not working. The money's not there. I don't know what to do with my house situation. The whole thing. Look at something. It's broken. And then you go through all the things of, well, what in the world can I do to distance myself from this person? Because if they're attracting all of these bad things, then they must be bad because we attract what we are. You ever blamed yourself? You ever had bad things happen and go, well, thoughts held in mind reproduce after their kind, therefore I must be yucky on the inside, to use a technical term. Gosh, guys, if we squint at that, how is that really different than saying, well, it's because you're a miserable sinner, worm of the dust? It's not different, and it's not helpful, and it's not true. From this moment on, I want us to be the kind of people who go, you know what, this is happening and it's real and I'm going to work on it, but it doesn't mean I'm bad just because I'm going through a hard time. This is fundamental. Who you are is magnificent. Where you're at, you might need some work to do. That's okay. We're here to do that work together. We are no longer allowed to blame ourselves or diagnose other people based on what their life is going on. That amounts to spiritual malpractice, and it is in theological terms, not cool. We're not going to do that anymore. Similarly, I've heard people say, if you were more spiritual, you'd put up with all these terrible things I'm doing to you. You ever heard that one? It's the same kind of, well, you're attracting these bad things. Why are you mad that I'm poking you in the face? This is on you, man. Not cool, theologically speaking. And that's not how this works. Once again, I'm going to say it again because it's profoundly important. We don't attract what we are, we attract where we are at. And there's a couple of ways to think about that. First of all, when something happens, and stuff happens, because we are here in this experience to grow, the universe's job, God's job, the whole job of the whole thing, the bigness of it all, is to grow you. So sometimes you're going to go through some things, and that's okay. You found a family. How awesome is that? That will grow with you and cheer you on. That's incredibly beautiful. When stuff happens, the question is not why, because why is a blame question. It's very easy to go from why into, well, what's wrong with me, and I'm no good, and oh boy, miserable sinner stuff starts to kick in. The question is not why, the question is what next? In other words, what are you going to do about it? Yeah, the thing broke, whatever the thing happens to be in your situation. What are you going to do about it? And that is a question that brings healing. Let me put that another way. We attract to ourselves because the universe's job is to grow us. We attract to ourselves opportunities to grow. You didn't attract to yourself a toxic relationship because you're just supposed to sit in a toxic relationship. Maybe you attracted that so you can learn how to not be in one anymore. Maybe you learned something that you can grow through. Maybe you're here to show somebody else something, but one way or another, we attract to ourselves opportunities to grow, and oftentimes, maybe even all the time, I don't know, that means standing up, speaking truth to power, doing the thing. We attract to ourselves opportunities to stand up for something. And that is a fun thing to know. And that is an empowering journey to be on. And that is a whole different kind of work to do. Some people have a different kind of work in mind. And they come to me and they say something like this. They say it differently, but they say something like this. Dieter, they call me Dieter. It works out because, my name. They say, how can I get done with the stuff that I'm doing now, the have-tos of my life right now? How can I get done with these things and get to where I can do the important things? Now, as I say, that can be phrased all kinds of different ways. How can I quit my job and join the circus? How can I write the great American novel? How can I leave this situation, romantic, financial, vocational, or whatever, and get into this situation? How can I quit doing the stuff I don't want to do and start doing the important stuff? A lot of people have that question. I profoundly get that question. Taking a breath, because this is a very important thing that I'm about to say. You are already doing what is important to you. You are already doing what is important to you. You are already doing what is important to you, otherwise you'd be doing something else. The question is not, how can I quit this? Because then all of your energy goes to the negative side of that, right? How can I quit this? The question is, why is it important to me? Some things that I do are important to me because I feel called, and some things are important to me because I'm afraid, right? Some things are important to me because I have a family obligation. Some things are important to me because I feel judged if I don't do it. Some things are important to me for all kinds of, theologically speaking, yucky reasons. The question is not, how can I quit doing it? The question is, why have I prioritized this? It's not a blame question. It's an evaluation question, so I can start doing it differently. The priority is the thing to change, and everything else will change as a result of that. It's amazing how fast it works when we decide to change that. Change. That's the big deal. A long time ago, I wrote a prayer, and it goes like this. God, I'm ready for change. My heart is open. I'm not afraid anymore. My life is in peace and on purpose. That's the whole thing. It covers a lot of ground, and I'm proud of that. I love the way it sounds. It speaks to me. And I used to do that publicly all the time. I mean, not like at Denny's, but at church. Yeah, Chili's, There's no place else. I think the cheese sticks will make you manifest that. But anyway. I was proud of that prayer, and I used to do it all the time. And someone came to me and they said, hey, that prayer. And I'm like, it's great, right? No. Because I'm not ready for change. That's the first line. God, I'm ready for change. My heart is open, and so on and so forth. And that person said to me with all sincerity, I'm not interested in change. I like me how I am. And I said, well, I like you are too, but you're kind of missing the boat here, dude. We are here to change. And for some people, that feels very scary. No, I want to know right now who I am. And this goes back to the why am I here question and the who am I question. I want to be able to pinpoint. I want to be able to get it with the tweezers. This is me right now, unchanging, unmoving, unmovable. This is it. Oh, how boring. Do you want to be who you were 5 years ago? I had dreams when I was 12 that if I lived up to them now, I would be very sad. For one thing, I no longer wish to live in a treehouse. You're more now. It's okay to change. That's why we're here. Once again, the universe is here to grow you. You are in the universe to grow. This is the deal. Let me put all that a slightly different way. God is done. You're not. You are part of this. You are a wave. You're not the ocean. You're a grain of sand. You're not the beach. You are an isness. You're not the allness. And that is okay. To be in flux, to be in motion, to embrace the journey of it, to be in the flow of it. Man, you know what that feels like. And when we start feeling good, it's the perfect time to talk about quantum physics. Yeah. You know about Heisenberg, not the Breaking Bad dude. Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, quantum physics stuff. And to boil it down, it goes like this. On the fundamental level, on the level of the building blocks of the material universe, you ready for all this? We're zooming way in. You can either know the position of something or you can know the motion of something. You can either know exactly where something is or you can know its journey. You cannot know both on a fundamental level. This is Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, and it's a big deal. Here's why. So many of us have been taught that our job is to know where we are, to be able to pinpoint it. Where are you going to be in 5 years? What's your plan? Who are you right now? You are a reliable person if you can tell me with authority where you're at right now. Yuck. We have been taught in one way or another, most of us, maybe all of us, because of culture, because of religion, because of family, because of, I don't know why, don't care really, that the thing that we're supposed to be looking for is position. But if I know the position, I can't know the journey. It stops everything. Let me say that differently. It's like trying to read the label on a record that is spinning. Ever done that? Oh, you can stop the record, but nobody can dance to a label. So often we've been taught to read the label, and who cares? It is time, my friends, for us to look for a different priority. It is time for us to dance because that's why we're here. It is time for us to embrace the journey because that's what we're on. It is time for us to step into the flow. Now, the last time I was here with y'all, I breezed by something really quick, and it's something you're going to hear me talk about a lot because I think it is fundamentally important to this journey. Your job has nothing to do with source, and your job has nothing to do with destination. Your job is to be in the middle, in the flow department. Every time someone comes to me with a prosperity problem, it is because they think that they're the destination where all the good stops, or it's because they think they're the source where all of it starts. Every time. And my job in one way or another is to teach you how to surf. If you can remember that your job is to be a steward, a caretaker of the flow, everything works. Your prosperity works, your healing works, your love life works, the thing works. It stops being broken if you can be a caretaker of the flow. You want to know why you're here? That's your job. That may manifest all kinds of different ways. I am a caretaker of the flow in this school. I'm a caretaker of the flow in this workplace. I'm a caretaker of the flow in this relationship. Whatever. That is your job. And you know it's your job because you know what it feels like when you're in that flow. You know what it feels like when that thing happens, and whatever that thing is for you, it's beautiful, man. Whatever that thing is for you where you're not thinking about anything other than just being in it. You know what that feels like. And for some people, it's just 1 second out of the day. It's okay. It's a good second. We're going to build on that second. You know what the flow feels like, and so you know more about who you are than maybe you thought. That is who you are. When you're not thinking about what's going to happen as a result. Radically unattached to the outcome, they say. And that's a big deal, too, because people say funny things about church. I don't know if you know this. People say funny things about church. One of the criticisms I hear a lot, I see a lot on social media. It's so funny, I make these little videos where I just kind of give advice and stuff like that. And sometimes people go, oh, wait, you're a minister? Because they'll go to my website and it says church stuff. I'm like, oh, man, I thought you were cool. Tell me about it. Life story. But one of the things people say about church is that church is not relevant because it doesn't produce anything. You know what I mean? There's no product that comes out of it. We don't make corn here. Some of it comes out of my mouth, but we don't make corn here. We don't produce a product here, and therefore it's not important, right? People say things like that. You've heard things like that. It's not fair, really. I mean, after all, what's the product of anything important? How much corn do you make when you go to an art museum? How much grain do you produce when you listen to your favorite song? How much money do you make when you love the person you love? Don't answer that one. That's a weird one. But you know what I mean? A joke, but you know what I mean. We don't measure in terms of product around here because what we're doing is actually important. And it's time to reevaluate that. Once again, it's about the journey, not the position. It's about the voyage, not the product, not the outcome. Do you want to really get down to it? You know what product we produce here in this factory? Your life. You. The life you lead, the world that we build together is a product of this enterprise. And I suppose in a way I'm talking about the charitable things that we do. It's a beautiful thing to go to Habitat for Humanity. I've done that a few times. It's awesome. It's a beautiful thing to go work at the food bank. I've done that a few times. It's awesome. It's a beautiful thing to do those things, and we should do those things. But that's not even what I'm talking about. The product that you are, if you want to look at it that way, is in you living a happy life. I don't know if you know this, but there are people in the world, there are people who know you, who do not know that happiness is an option. Do you know what you show them by just being happy? That's the product. That's your job. Joseph Campbell, the mythology guy, not the soup guy, just to be clear, says that people ask about the meaning of life. I want to know what it all means. What's the meaning of life? And he says nobody cares about the meaning of life if what you're talking about is some kind of intellectual thing. It don't fit between your ears. Nobody cares about the meaning of life. What you want, says Joseph Campbell, is the experience of life. What you want are the things that make you feel alive. I want to experience this. I don't need it on a chalkboard. I want to feel this because the about question is a bumming question. So here's why you're here. Go find the things that make you feel alive. Go find them. They're there. You know about some of them. You know about one of them. Maybe there's one thing you do where you're like, this is it, man. This is awesome. And I don't need to know what it is. It doesn't matter what it is. Be the kind of person who seeks the things that make you feel alive, because as you do, those moments will get longer and longer and closer together. And before you know it, you're building a new kind of life for yourself. And before you know it, people are seeing your example and making different choices for them. This is how we build a world that works for everybody. Find the things that make you feel alive, the positive ones. And you know what? Sometimes the negative ones can tell you something too. Lean into those too with a smile on your face because you're bigger now than you were then, because you know the journey's more important than the position. Seek those things because you will discover that they are seeking you. That's what we make here in this kitchen. That life, that world, that's who you are. Because who you are is not determined by your bad experiences. That's just where you're at. You'll be in a new place. Who you are is already beautiful, already strong, already up to the challenge, and already free. Because after all, freedom is a choice. Thank you.